Hello, everybody. Welcome to the show. We're going to try out a different format here, different styles, something I'm got influenced by from another creator. I'm going to use a notepad here to kind of help me spurse out my thoughts a bit to make this a little bit more transparent and fluid. And I wanted to go over and talk about some thumbnails because thumbnails are really important. And I don't think we give enough credit about why thumbnails are so important. One, they tend to be eye-catching, and that's usually very important for being able to make a good channel and to make something that's successful. We're going to be using this YouTube channel, which claims to be all about making a good small YouTube channel grow. Let me slide this over a bit. So I wanted to go over talking about that in kind of this interesting way. So what are we thinking about when we think about thumbnails? Obviously, we're talking about something that is eye-catching, and ultimately it's going to make people want to click on the video, right? This is, basic stuff. We all understand this is what a thumbnail is for. But what people don't think about is the color palette. And also, forgive me for my spelling. I'm not the best speller. It's color palette. It's, words, on the picture. And finally, typically the most important one in terms of the title is how the picture relates to the title. And what do I mean by this, right? So think about it, right? So it's really interesting how whenever you want to go ahead and, we're testing. This is a work in progress kind of thing, guys. So we always talk about how we really want to make sure that a thumbnail is really important and eye-catching. And it's like, hey, look at me. Do you want it to be clickbait? Do you not want it to be clickbait? Let's take a look at this channel again. You'll notice how in these videos, he puts himself in front of pretty much every single video. I think it's because I believe the psychology behind this is typically, as far as I've understood it, is that people tend to be more attracted to things that show people in them because we naturally, our eyes are drawn towards creatures that look like us or similar to us or like kind of confuse us a bit. So we want to make sure that there's always a human element to a video. If it's like a still picture or something that's flat, that's not good. Now you'll notice there's a little bit of red in every single, well, not every single, but pretty much most of these. Different videos, right? And we'll bring the notepad back, don't worry. But if you go ahead and take a look, we'll just go to his videos in general. You'll notice that every single one of these videos tends to have a little bit of red or a little bit of something that is meant to like catch your eye and be very eye drawing, right? Now with channels that like mine, for example, where I spent a lot of my time focused on informational stuff, right? Where for me it was all about, we want to make sure that the audience knows what's up with the video. They want to know why is it, the way it is, what's the video about, et cetera, all that stuff. You'll notice that as we go through, like this channel doesn't really have anything related to, it's hard to describe. This channel doesn't have anything that is related to the title, right? So, like for example, like in this one right here, it says stand out, but then it says you found a secret to make your video stand out, right? Or like he says, I got this message in the thumbnail, right? But then in the actual video title, it has nothing to do with it. So that's something that's really interesting is how the picture is not actually meant to be necessarily directly connected to the title in order to be successful. This is just one example, this is actually technically probably for a lot of people, I'm sure you'd look at this and be like, oh, this is kind of a smaller channel, but this guy, claims to know what he's doing, and so I figure this might be a good example of stuff to maybe emulate roughly. Obviously, do your own style, do your own thing, be original. That's the whole point of YouTube, is being yourself, and that's really special. It's something that you can't always look back on and reflect. So what do we learn from this? All right, we want to know. One thing I've learned just from looking at this is that the title doesn't need to match the picture, right? The title does not need to match the picture. I cannot type. We've also learned from this point that you don't need to make each video title about the thumbnail, right? So this is an inverse property, right? We understand this, right? This concept of like, hey, yeah, we agree there is certainly a an element where you want to have matches, like this video, for example, how to avoid trouble, and then he says how to avoid and remove copyright strikes on YouTube, right? But it's probably just a simple video. We probably both know what it's going to be about. It's about something that everyone is talking about, right? This is like the crazy thing is like every single one of these videos here is stuff that either someone else has already said or ultimately is something that you might not even need to see. So here's the interesting thing about originality. Originality is something that a lot of people seem to get confused with this idea of being unique. All right, so originality is not equal to unique. Right, and it's interesting how, like, in YouTube, we tend to have thumbnails that when we look at them, we think, whoa, that's a really eye-catching thumbnail. Or like, hey, what's this thing? I want to see what it is. But ultimately, the thumbnail and the title work together. If you have a good thumbnail, like, for example, let me see. Like, this one is a very basic one. It just says copyright strike on the front. This could mean anything related to copyright strikes. You don't know what it is, but it's meant to be vague on purpose. Most of these thumbnails are things that are provocative, things that say, hey, you don't know quite what's going on, but I want to get you in here so that we can figure out the answer to whatever we're talking about, which is pretty cool. And I'll try these techniques, of course, as we go through thinking about it. Thumbnails, right? Or specifically thumbnails that seem eye-catching and appealing. Now I know what you're thinking. Hey, why take advice from me when I'm small? Well, because big channels don't really try to help small ones. They really don't. And the reason why is because every single channel grows in its own way, and it's really difficult to find someone with a personality similar to you, who likes the same stuff as you, who wants to do the same things as you, who wants to have the same creative style as you. And that's what so it's like an up and a down. Okay, so like most channels don't reflect you, right? They really don't. There's no way at all to be able to look at a channel and be like, yeah, this is me, or this is what I want to do. Because guess what? Someone's already doing it, and they're probably already successful. That's why I keep repeating and I keep saying, both to myself and for people who are watching, who want to be inspired by this journey that we're all going on together to try and build a community. I mean, look at this. I know I just made a video about community tabs and stuff, but look at this. This guy's got a community tab, right? It's so huge that he's able to, look at that, 218 comments, You get polls. I even marked one on there just to try it out and stuff. And it's crazy, right? It's absolutely crazy how much community support you're able to do. And look, he's doing this not even very often. For me, shoot, if I had a community tab, I'd want to do it like every day. Like, honestly, that would be so cool. Sorry, going off topic because I already talked about the community tab. Anyway, so that's really something important to note if you're trying to grow. This isn't really what it's about. It's more about the thumbnail titles. But here's kind of the wraparound. Because most channels don't reflect you, thumbnails that catch your eye aren't always made with you in mind. And I know you're thinking, well, duh, of course thumbnails aren't made with you in mind. We don't know. Who knows, right? Who knows why a thumbnail, who your audience is. I see a lot of channels talk about building up a fake audience, right? That you're talking to, or like a target audience. But the truth is, if you have a target audience or like some sort of specific goal, then ultimately what that's going to mean is that, we can close that. What that's going to mean is that you're kind of putting yourself in this box where you're not really going to be able to branch out and do your own thing. You know what I mean? Like, if you look at it, a lot of these videos, honestly, in terms of the thumbnail, are framed the same way. You have a picture of a face or like the person. You have big bold letters in the title, in the picture itself, trying to make you click on it. There's a lot of arrows in his stuff because I guess the eye is drawn to like wanting to look at an arrow, which is fine. That's his own style. That's okay. The point is, these are things that are working for him. Arrows. I see arrows everywhere, right? I don't like arrows, so I'm not going to do it. It's that simple. You don't have to follow what people do. I'm just giving this channel as an example of someone who became successful by essentially doing stuff that would be traditionally eye-catching. Red and everything, because humans love red, right? It makes us hungry. That's why McDonald's is red. Every single thumbnail is planned out, and every single thumbnail has a goal. And I think the main takeaway here of this whole thing, if I were going to give a main takeaway, right? Okay, here it is. You want the main thesis of it? The main takeaway is that I'm not even going to say it. I'm just going to type it out. Don't copy someone because they aren't you. That's the bottom line, right? You want the answer? You jump to the end of the video. Here's your answer. Thumbnails are meant to be an expression of your video in the way you want to make it. That's how I always grew up understanding YouTube. That's how I frame my thumbnails, and that's how I'm going to keep doing my thumbnails. This is a discussion video, so I'm going to make the video related to the discussion in some way. The thumbnail that you clicked on that drew you here is going to be in some way a reflection of your interest in clicking on the video. And hopefully you enjoyed. Anyway, guys, as always, I'm Elwirfy, and I'll definitely be talking to you guys next time. Take care, everyone.